After logging into StreamNative UI, we start on the Organizations page. If you were invited to an organization, you should already see it here. If not, you will need to request access to an organization from an existing org admin or create a new org if needed. If you ever need to navigate back to this page, you can go to your account in the top right and click on Organizations. We will be working in the Training Demo organization today. We start on the Dashboard page, where we can see our organization details. The left pane in the main part of the page is where you will see any existing instances and an indication if the instance includes any clusters. This is where you would start deploying your first instance and cluster if you don't already have any. The right pane at the top of the page is where you can manage users who have access to this org. You can use the plus icon to invite new users to this organization. We will use the breadcrumbs at the top of the page to select our instance and cluster. We only have one Pulsar cluster in our Pulsar instance. Once the cluster is selected, the left pane updates with cluster level options, and we are presented with a dashboard with metrics about our cluster. The Details page is where you will find the access points for connecting to the cluster with Kafka, Pulsar, or MQTT clients. Use Configuration in the left pane to view more information about your cluster. It may be important for you to know what release channel you're on. StreamNative's newest features like Kafka compatibility may only be available in the Rapid channel. Before we choose any specific tenant or namespace at the top of the page, let's investigate the additional options in the left. This is where you can create or delete tenants. Here I create a new tenant called Training and select the non-admin training service account to be an admin for this tenant. If I want to add tenant admin to an existing tenant or make other changes, I can click on the tenant. This will also select the tenant in the top menu. Either option is okay to navigate to the tenant page. You're presented with the tenant dashboard and presented with tenant-specific information in the left pane. On the Configuration tab, you can add users as tenant admins for an existing tenant. Clicking on Namespaces, you can see existing namespaces and create a new one. If you select the existing namespace, you'll be redirected to the namespace dashboard. This is the equivalent of selecting the namespace at the top of the page. The left pane now updates with many more options that are available at the namespace level. Let's start with the Configuration option. This is where you can add namespace level permissions for a service account, such as produce and consume, to allow clients to produce and consume messages to all topics in this namespace. You can also apply many namespace level policies here. Additional permissions may also be needed for service accounts used to execute connectors, functions, and PFSQL. And this brings us to the next portion of the left panel. Clicking on Topics, we can see all topics deployed to this tenant and namespace. Here I have a topic called My Topic. The Details tab shows partition information, producers, and subscription information, including backlog. In the left tab, we can also deploy or view connectors, including Pulsar Syncs, Pulsar Sources, and Kafka connectors. Functions in this tenant and namespace can be managed here, as well as PFSQL. Sample code for Pulsar clients, Kafka clients, and MQTT is also available in the left pane. Clicking on Kafka clients, for example, I'm presented with various programming languages. Selecting Java and clicking on Next, I can select a service account and an authorization type, and choose whether or not I want to use Kafka Schema Registry. I'm then provided information on the required client libraries and sample producer and consumer code based on the selected tenant, namespace, topic, and subscription, pre-populated with code that will connect you quickly to your Pulsar cluster. Using the drop-down in the top right corner, we can go to Accounts and Accesses to manage service accounts. If you create a new service account without super admin, which is normally recommended, you will need to manually add permissions for this account. This could be making this account a tenant admin, as we discussed earlier, or having permissions at the namespace or topic level, like consume, produce, functions, etc. As shown in the description here, for each service account, you can create an OAuth 2 key file or multiple API keys. Each account can have multiple API keys with an expiration date defined by you. These keys can be revoked early, but their expiration cannot be extended. Service account bindings can also be created here, which are used for service accounts that will be used to deploy connectors, functions, or PF/SQL. Organizational usage is also available in the drop-down menu. If you have any questions, you can access StreamNative documentation or get in touch with our support organization through links in the drop-down menu.